Good morning, good morning, good morning. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping, and you are breathing. Today is Tuesday, May the 2nd, 2023. My name is Stephen Carnegie, and welcome to This Is Just a Thought. Today's word of the day, piggyback, which means to be carried by or connected to something. Piggyback. Hope everyone is enjoying their Tuesday, or will enjoy their Tuesday, I should say. Man, it's a beautiful day here in North Carolina as far as the weather goes. Temperatures are going to be in the 70s with a little bit of breeze, light wind. Hey, it's a beautiful day, man. I gotta say, or it's going to be a beautiful day, man. But the rain is expected later on in the week, and I believe it's supposed to come in sometime. Not too much, but man, yet and still, I'll take this weather right here. Not too hot, not too cold, because we know summertime is fast approaching. And we know about that Carolina heat, don't we? We know how that goes. Whew. I'm not looking forward to that, to say the least. But still a beautiful day. I gotta admit, in comparison to some parts of the country, they're seeing a snowstorm in May. It happens around that Midwest or the upper part of the United States. It just happens. I mean, hey, spring snow still odd to me. Sounds odd to me. I guess I'm from the South, so hey, it does sound odd to me. It just does. All right, let's move along here, man, to some of the NBA playoffs. It's off and running now. It is off and running now. The Philadelphia 76ers versus the Boston Celtics. 76ers won 119-115, and James Harden carried the squad with 45 points. Looks like he's back in rare form. He has had moments, but man, for the most part, Philly, I know it's just the first game of this series, but Philly, they controlled every aspect of the game. I gotta say, don't let that final score fool you. James Harden put in some work. Looked like James Harden of old, despite his pregame attire. That is one of the things he's known for, besides being known as the beard. Man, if you caught wind or you caught sight of those dungarees, I was like, Lord, what in the world? It looked like they were 10 sizes too big. And man, I was saying to myself, this guy ain't gonna be able to run the floor tonight with these big heavy dungarees on. Hey, but he ran it. He put on a clinic. 45 points. He carried him. He did. He just did. And I didn't get a chance to catch that game. I was at work, and I believe that game came on like 7 or 7:30. But I did make it home in time to catch that Phoenix Suns Denver Nuggets game. I stand corrected. Because I believe I did a podcast a few days ago, and I was saying, hey, the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns, that's going to be a good series, but I was giving the heads up to the Phoenix Suns. Nope. Denver Nuggets up on that series 2-0. Yeah, Denver Nuggets. Man, final score 87-97 in favor of the Denver Nuggets with Booker. Booker put on a clinic. He just did. He put on a clinic, 35 points. Nuggets ain't looking so bad all of a sudden. Now, I did say they do have a pretty good squad, but man, I didn't see this coming. I was giving it to the Phoenix Suns with Durant and Paul and that cast. I was like, hey, this may be their year. I don't know anymore because they struggled. They ain't looking so tough. Like I said, Denver's up 2-0 in that series. Wow. And moving along here also, man, tonight is going to be the Miami Heat versus the New York Knicks. The Heat are up 1-0 in that series. So it looks like it's going to be the Heat along with Jimmy Butler. I don't know if Jimmy Butler's playing. I think his ankle is still messed up. But maybe the Knicks can sneak him one since he'll be out. Hey, he carries that team. I always like Jimmy Butler's style of play because it's not too fancy. It's no finesse. It's just a whole lot of hustle. That's just the best way to describe him. He hustles. Has moments, but he hustles. Just does. And another game tonight everyone in the world is waiting for. LA Lakers versus the Golden State Warriors. King James and Chef Curry. Ooh. I ain't giving no predictions on that one. I'm a Lakers fan, but it depends on which Lakers team shows up to play. We'll see. Hey, the NBA playoffs looking pretty good. This might be one of the better playoffs I've seen in years, because of the talent, and there's not one team that's dominating. It's anybody's game, literally. It just is. Like I said, that Denver Nuggets and Phoenix Suns series, I gave hats off to Phoenix. I was calling it before it even got started, but I got my mouth shut the other night because the Nuggets took it. Then they took it again last night. So this is just an indication of what's out there in the NBA. This could be one of the best playoffs we've seen in a while. Still no predictions for me, but who's going to the finals? I can't give it to you. I just can't. I have no clue whatsoever. All right, let's move along here, man. Hey, looks like the COVID vaccine requirements will expire on May the 11th for foreign travelers and federal workers. So is COVID over? Nah, it ain't over. COVID's still here. It's still here. It just is. I guess the best to describe it is the new flu. Just is. I even heard a day or so ago they were talking there's a new strand of COVID that's out. Okay. So either way, the United States government, the White House came out and said, hey, they're going to do away with those vaccine requirements for foreign travelers and federal workers, because as you know, a lot of the federal workers, they refused that vaccine and they were either being told they could be fired or face some other disciplinary action, which I really, quite honestly, I never fully got to tell someone they got to take a vaccine. I won't get on that soapbox, but that was just crazy to me. So it looks like, I guess the numbers are finally under control, or enough under control. Enough folks have been vaccinated. Enough folks are aware about the possibility of catching or contracting COVID. So they're relieving the restrictions. Maybe this is the end of COVID. Maybe it is. I don't know. I can't tell you. It's still out there. I do know that. Now, back in February, the House voted to lift these restrictions. So on May 11th, that's it. Foreign travelers and federal workers are no longer going to be stifled by having to have a vaccine or else. I guess that's a good thing. It is. Now, also, what's going to happen is, when I say foreign travelers, it's also going to include not just those that fly into the country, but those that sell here also at ports, on ships. So they're going to lift those restrictions also. Good thing. Maybe we're seeing a break in that COVID frenzy that we had some time ago. I know you guys all remember that. The lockdown, the quarantining, the restrictions, the mandates. That looks like that's gone away with. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, they said there's another strand of COVID out there. Maybe they can keep that one under control so that it won't spread so fast. Maybe not. Who knows? All right, let's move along here also. Man, hey, in a bit of news here in Durham. And I found this story. There's so many questions that I have. Now, here in Durham, it looks like the Durham County Department of Social Services finds itself in the hot seat. Well, apparently, they removed the child from a home from a mother that has a severe illness, and they placed this baby. I still don't know how old the child was, but they just labeled termed the child a baby. Placed this baby in an orphanage in Greenville, North Carolina. Took the child away from here in Durham, North Carolina, away from her family and the mother, and placed it in an orphanage in Greenville, North Carolina. Now that's quite a ways away. I guess Greenville's what, about maybe 2 hours, somehow. I guess it's 2 hours away. So they took the child from the mother, who was she has apparently she has a lot of health issues, severe health issues. So they took the child away, and this is where I really don't understand how and why. I get the premise that you took the child out of the home because the mother was severely ill. She has sickness. But you put the child in an orphanage in Greenville, and the grandmother had to sue to get the child back. She won a settlement. Well, the family won a settlement of $20,000. So the grandmother sues to get the child back. The child is now back at home with the mother and the father. I never heard, and maybe this is just a naivete on my part, I never heard of a suing to get a child back out of a county. I've never heard of this. So she sued, and they apparently this lawsuit, or they had to fight for a year and a half to get this child back to where it rightfully belonged. Now, like I said, the mother has some disabilities, and they had to fight for a year and a half to get this child back into here in Durham, and they won a $20,000 judgment. But the grandmother, who at the time, of course, she did an interview. She said, "Hey, at the time, I had just adopted another child, and I was in the process of moving, so they deemed and termed me homeless. So that was the reason why the child was taken out of the home and moved all the way to Greenville, North Carolina." There weren't other family members. This isn't the first time Durham County Department of Social Services has come under attack. Sometime last year, they were accused, and I can remember, just like it was yesterday, they were accused, and there was a lot of talk, there was a lot of interviews being given of Durham County Department of Social Services wrongfully removing black and brown kids from their homes and shipping them off to orphanages or foster care. I'm still not understanding or grasping the concept that you would remove this child, take it away from the family. And I understand the mother has disabilities, and I understand the grandmother. I get it, got it. The grandmother had just adopted a child. She was in the process of moving, so you termed her homeless. Get that, got that. But once again, there weren't other family members around, because now they're saying the child is back at home with the mother and the father. Where was the father during this process? The grandmother came out and said, "Hey, yeah, I was in between moving, trying to find a new place to stay, and I just adopted a child. But there were other family members that were ready to step up and take this child in for however long it was needed until the mother could get herself together." Or the mother and father. Maybe the father was taking care of the mother, because they did say she has some several, at one point, severe disabilities. So maybe that was the case. But there were family members that were ready to step up and step in and take that child. So why did Durham County Department of Social Services remove that child? Why are they in such a rush to remove these kids from these homes, from these parents? Because, like I said, this isn't the first time we've heard about this from Durham County Department of Social Services. Last year, once again, they were accused of wrongfully removing black and brown kids from homes unnecessarily and placing them in orphanages and foster care. So, why are they in such a rush of moving these kids around? I ain't trying. The old saying comes to mind of the cycle of the system and how it's funded. You know, one time someone explained to me, you know, me and this older gentleman, we were sitting around chopping it up, and he was saying, "Hey man, you know, the way that system is set up with the social services just as a whole, it pretty much is they have to have bodies to keep the flow of government funding. I know it sounds odd. I know it sounds crazy. But when you hear something like this, and you hear about the story last year where this group, because Emancipate North Carolina was one of the ones that was behind the family, and now is on Department of Social Services hind parts, trying to get them to do right and come out with some new guidelines for them just hastily removing children from the home. It does make you think, is that really what is happening? Because in this case, I gotta say, I don't know that much about it. It was just an article in the newspaper and a story on the evening news. But you guys couldn't find anyone else in that family to take that child, that baby in, and you just threw that baby in an orphanage? Surely there are more cases where children are in more danger or harm than this child that had a grandmother and had other family members. Because she's adamantly saying that there was no reason, no need to take that child out of the home, or there may have been a need to take the child out of the home because the mother was ill, but there was no need, no reason to put that child in an orphanage. Still don't know how old the child was, by the way. But man, I don't know much about orphanage life, but I've heard it ain't too easy. So that's the reason why Emancipate North Carolina is saying, hey, before you take these kids out of these homes, make sure you can find somewhere, one, close to the home, close proximity to the family, and of course make sure that it's really warranted and needed. I mean, like I said, the mother, yeah, she was ill, but I don't think you needed to take that child all the way 2 hours away and put it in an orphanage. What the world is going on with Durham Department of Social Services? So much so that the family won a $20,000 lawsuit after they had to sue to get that child back. How does that work? I'm not understanding. And like I said, maybe it's a naivete on my part, but how is it that a family has to sue to get their own child back? And the Department of Social Services now has to pay $20,000. You guys got $20,000 just laying around like that? Yeah, y'all was saying you scrapped for cash and funding. Maybe you did for these special moments. Now, I'm not bashing the Department of Social Services because they certainly do have a huge job and a huge problem on their hands, especially here in Durham. I know that you may say, hey, that's happening everywhere because, you know, like I've said numerous times on this podcast, Durham does have a homeless problem with parents. They have parents that are addicted to drugs or whatever, what have you. So a lot of these kids aren't being cared for like they should be. But this child here appears, from what I can tell, and what that grandmother said, it had family members that were loving and willing to take that baby in. So why was there such a rush to get that child out of that home and move it, like I said, 2 hours to an orphanage? Now, also in the lawsuit, they're saying that because they removed that child, and this is probably how they started the lawsuit, because I swear I never heard of anybody having to sue to get their family member back or child back. Because what they're saying is because Durham County Department of Social Services removed that child from the home, they were in violation of that mother's, in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Rehabilitation Act. So I guess that's how that lawsuit came about. Maybe not. I don't know. Who am I? What do I know? Now, with this, the county, the Durham Department of Social Services has agreed to implement a new policy for children with medical needs, which includes prioritizing family placement in non-institutional settings. Yeah. You guys probably should have did that a long time ago. You guys should have thought about that. It tugs at your heart, I gotta say. Whatever the mother's illness was, but for you to take a baby away from their mother and then throw them in an orphanage. What was the cause? What was the reasoning? Durham County still hasn't came out with a statement. But, this isn't the first time we've heard this about this Department of Social Services here in Durham, North Carolina. They have been under the telescope. People are looking at them now because this, like I said, this isn't the first time they were charged or accused, or it was brought to the light sometime last year that they were taking a large amount of black and brown children out of the home that really didn't need to be, or could have been placed somewhere else. So just like me and that old guy some time ago when we were chopping it up, and he made the statement that, hey, you got to have bodies to keep that federal funding and that state funding flowing, he might be on to something. Because that doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me. Then again, what do I know? What do I know? Like I said, I'm not bashing the Department of Social Services. They do have a huge job, a very difficult and daunting task as a job to make sure these children are being taken care of and they're not being hurt or neglected. Get it, got it, understand it. But I do think you guys do need to relook and revisit and come up with some more, a bigger and better plan as to what the criteria is for you just to remove these kids from these homes. Because if this family can prove, and obviously they proved it because the judge awarded them that $20,000, if this family can prove that they violated that woman's, the Americans with Disabilities Act and the Rehabilitation Act and get a judgment, how many more out there may pop up? And where are you guys getting the money? I mean, you're saying, always saying you're strapped for cash. Maybe they got money laying around like that. Maybe they got money laying around like that. Certainly is it tugs at your heart. When I heard the story, I was like, wow, why in the world would they do that? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? All right. Let's go get it. All right. We're going to talk about some politics. And isn't the first time I've heard this, and I know it's not the first time you guys have heard this also. It has come up once again. The question of the day: is President Joe Biden too old to serve? I've heard it before, and I know you have. Now, what has happened? There's been a new poll, NBC poll to be more specific, that has come out that says that, which isn't too surprising, but it's kind of surprising because it doesn't deal with or talk about what President Biden is doing as the president. It's more or less leaning towards his age and how some in the Democratic Party, not just Democratic voters or progressive Democratic voters, the younger ones, but even some of those Democrats that hold political office, they're questioning also, is President Joe Biden, too old to serve? Now, if he's elected in 2024, he'll be 82 years old. He'll be 82 years old. He'll be serving his second term. And this poll, I don't want to say I think the Democratic Party needs to find someone else, but this poll, these numbers, wow. Now, in this poll, what they said is 70% of Americans, including 51% of Democrats, don't think Biden should run for re-election, citing his age as the reason for their hesitation. Like I said, he'll be 82 years old when if he is elected for a second term. With 70% of Americans and 51% of Democrats saying your age is a problem, I don't know how you're going to combat that. Now, I got to be honest with you. I never really gave it any thought. But this, along with some more incidences, it kind of made me wonder. Because let's be honest with each other. We all know, and here recently we all have been saying, as far as the senators go, there needs to be a term limit because you have senators that have been in there, oh man, up 30, 35 years, maybe some even more. They've been there and they're, well, they're old. And some appear to be senile. And a lot of the young ones now are saying, well, wait a minute, you're kind of old, you're up there, and you're making all these decisions and choices that are supposed to be affecting me and my generation and my kids and the kids' kids. There needs to be a term limit. It wasn't just for age, but it also talked about the business dealings that a lot of these senators and representatives, they do also. Get it, got it, understand it. Now, I like I said, I never really thought about it, and until, like I said, this article, and then I was looking and some time ago, and President Biden was giving a speech, and he's done this numerous times. It appears he loses his way in the speech. He forgets his train of thought. And if you're saying to you, you're just being hard on him, no, he doesn't. Yeah, he does. Because I've seen him give a speech, and he has said right in the middle of the speech, where was I? Yeah, I know you guys have seen that. It's been the butt of many late night talk show monologues. He does. He loses his spot in a speech, and he has said, where was I? So I can understand where these people are questioning whether or not he should or shouldn't run again, because and this another thing is, this isn't the first time this has come up as an inner battle between those in the Democratic Party, the young versus the old, the progressive versus the traditional Democrats. This happened during the campaign trail also, where a lot of young progressives, when Joe Biden got the nomination, they were saying, "No, that's not who we want. That's not who we need. He's too old." Yeah, I remember that. I remember that debate, but that was quickly hushed and calmed down by the higher ups in the Democratic Party, who happen to be older. But I don't know. Is 82 too old to serve as president of the free world? I don't think so. I don't. But I think if you're 82 and you're forgetting things, and you're stumbling over words, and you're losing places, you're losing your place in the middle of a speech on an international stage, you might want to bow out gracefully. Now, I know that's going to upset a lot of people, because also in this article and in this poll, it asks folks, okay, if you don't want Joe Biden, who do you want? And one gentleman said, well, we want someone younger and a little bit more vibrant as a lead of the Democratic Party. Anybody but Donald Trump. So let me get this straight. Donald Trump pops back up in the conversation again. Is there really that much of a big fear of Donald Trump? Is Donald Trump really that dude? Because pretty much what that says to me, you'll vote for Joe Biden if the Democrats can't put anybody out front that is more vibrant and upbeat and young. You'll vote for him, Joe Biden, just to keep Donald Trump out of office. You guys hate Donald Trump that much? Wow. I must have fell asleep and hit my head on that stupid stick again. Because I don't see Donald Trump being that big of a threat. Maybe it's a naivete on my part. Maybe it's me in my way of thinking. I just don't see how one man could strike that much fear into the heart of so many folks that they're willing to forego their own personal beliefs just to keep him out of office. You'll vote for someone you are flat out have said is senile. So you go vote for Donald Trump. You won't vote for Donald Trump. You'll vote for Joe Biden, the misogynist Donald Trump. Let's not forget that. Like I said, I guess I fell asleep and woke up and stumbled and hit my head on that proverbial stupid stick, because I just don't see Donald Trump being that big of a threat. I just don't. That you would vote for a guy that you said is senile and past his time just to keep Donald Trump out of office, you'll vote for him? It's a bit odd to me. It's not odd. It's a bit sad that we've come to this point in our politics in this country. That you hate one man so bad that to keep him out, you vote for the lesser of two evils. Now, these progressive Democrats, elections coming up in 2024, but there really hasn't been any other Democrat that has hinted at or thrown their name into the hat to be the Democratic nominee for the president in 2024. It just hasn't. So these progressive Democrats, I don't know what they're going to do or what they're thinking, but guys better do something quick, because it looks like old smoking Joe Biden is a running again. He says he has some more business. He got some more business to attend to. He has some more things to work out. He has a great plan for the future of the United States. This article, it didn't talk too much about how those in the Democratic Party, but I have read articles how those in the Democratic Party feel he's handling, of course, the economy, the inflation, but they really haven't. This seems to be the talking point, and man, it just seems like everybody's just not really and truly talking about how this economy is affecting this country. You know, there's been another takeover of another bank. J.P. Morgan, I believe they bought out, I can't remember the name of the bank, but J.P. Morgan has taken hold of the Republic Bank. I'm sorry, Republic Bank, I believe that's the name of it. Another bank. So what's going on with our economy? That's about what is that? 2 or 3 banks within 2 or 3 months that has to be bailed out. We all know about the Silicon Valley and that other bank out there on the West Coast, and one was on the West Coast and one was on the East Coast. They had to be helped out too. So it appears that J.P. Morgan has stepped in, and they have control of this bank that was in danger of just folding with a lot of businesses, a lot of mortgages. What is going on with our economy? This needs to be addressed. When your banking system starts to falter, that ain't just a damn red flag. That's not a red flag. That's cause for you to say, hey, wait a minute, hold up, what's going on here? So I really don't hear people talking about this economy like I'm hearing about his age. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even though I said, yeah, it may be his age isn't really a problem. I think it's more or less his cognitive ability to do the job. Like I said, the bumbling, the stumbling over words, the forgetting his where he's at during a speech, how he has to redirect himself, and he kind of stares off into space. It just does. But I think that's a problem, yeah. But this economy, these banks having to be bought out by other banks to keep them afloat, that's a huge problem. So I can't give you the age thing like wholeheartedly like that, but whoever wins in 2024, good luck. Whether it be President Biden or former President Trump, they're still saying Trump's going to run. I don't know. We'll see. He has a bevy of problems himself. Man. So we'll see what happens with that. But that there, the age thing, it did expose, once again, the problem within the Democratic Party. We heard it during the campaign trail, with those young Democrats saying, no, we don't want the old color guard. We want some new blood, some young, progressive, forward-thinking Democrats in. You old guys and old gals have done enough. So we'll see. Maybe the Democrats will come up with someone that they feel is more vibrant and ready to do the job more than old President Joe Biden. We will see. Whoever takes this on, I would like to think that you guys will do something with this economy. Because with these banks dropping every month, it's more than a red flag. It's a huge problem. So what are we going to do? Sit around and wait for the banking system to completely fall and the economy just bottoms out and then run around and try to regroup? Well, the Treasury Secretary came out yesterday and said that if the debt ceiling isn't raised as early as June, the United States could run out of money and won't be able to pay its debt. It happens every 6 or 8 months, man. It does. Every time I turn around, we're in danger. U.S. is in danger of falling apart. It happens every 6 months, man. But maybe this time it might be an actual fact. Banks keep falling. The economy is teetering. Cost of doing business is up. The cost of groceries is up. Gas is going back up. Wow. Time will tell. Time will tell. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. All right, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to skedaddle. And I want to thank you all for lending me your ears this morning. Continue to like, support, share, offer feedback. Anchor, which I am sharing this podcast with, along with YouTube. Anchor has a great feature where you can leave a voice response, and I would love to hear your voice. And also on YouTube, hey, get in that comment box and let me know what you think. Is Durham County Department of Social Services in such too much of a rush to remove kids from their homes when they really shouldn't, where they should be or shouldn't be, or you could just hand them over to a family member that can step in and help out? Or is President Biden too old to run for president in 2024? He'll be 82. Well, whatever the case, I would love to hear your response. You can also offer feedback. You can make monetary contributions. Continue to follow and listen on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Overcast, Radio Public, Podcasts, Verbal, and WordPress, and YouTube. And as always, wherever you are streaming, hit that like and subscribe button so you can get notified when I drop these podcasts. Keep you in the loop. And as always, thank you for listening. My name is Stephen Carnegie. For this is Just a Thought. Amen.